Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. What's going on, beautiful people? I'm here with a special message on this very special season. Yes, this is a Sagittarius message. Now, hear me out. If you're not a Sagittarius, I'm sure you can still find something useful in whatever it is that comes up. I mean, it is Sagittarius season. Jupiter is the biggest gift giver in the zodiac. So before you check out, stand by. Christmas may be coming early, so you can tap into these vibes too. But on this day, November 29th, Saturday, November 29th, 2025, I feel guided to do something that I never do. I never do zodiac specific readings ever for any sign. Pardon me. And so, I don't know. I just felt a strong guide to do one, and particularly for Sagittarius, which, by the way, I am a Sagittarius, December 9th to be exact. To let you know, I do have a bias for December Sages. We are different from November Sages, but I love us all. I do love us all. But there's a difference between a November Sag and a December Sag. November can be kind of close to those Scorpio frequencies, especially the early Sages. But we love you. We love you too. We do. We love you dearly. But I'm tapping into the energy today. And in that regard, I felt guided to break out my old gold cards, which sometimes may get a little dark down here. I don't know. We'll see if the light hits them right. But nonetheless, that's what we're using today. I decided to just shake it up just a tad. Give a little bit of adventure in true Sagittarius form, right? All right, so let's see what we got here. I'm going to cut them. We're going to cut these bad boys up. They are a bit slippery, so excuse the mess. And we're going to get right to it. All right, I hope you're doing well. I hope you are having a wonderful weekend. I was having a wonderful weekend, and I guess I still am. I didn't intend to jump on today with this revelation, but hey, like I said, adventure is the name of the game. Spontaneous is the name of the game when we're talking about Sagittarius energy. So we never quite shy away from a surprise. All right, so here we go. Let's see what we got on the bottom. Not the Five of Wands. We starting off hot. There's some fiery energy here with the Five of Wands. Some type of conflict, argument, confrontation. I don't know what's going on here, but somewhere in some corner of reality, there's some unrest. Could it be a fight over you, my dear Saggy? Could it be? I don't know. Just a little side note to consider. We didn't get too far in the channeling, but let's see what we got. I don't feel the need to tap into that, but so much is happening. We'll see what else is aligned with it or aside from it. All right. You all know that a Sag can cause an uproar somewhere where they know before they even realize they've done it. There could be some unrest in some corner of the world, all circulating around you and what you've done or what you've said or what you haven't done or said or whatever the case, or just how you live in your own life and you wouldn't even know it. You'd be off and on some other adventure somewhere, right? Completely unfazed, which is usually exactly, and it definitely kind of spun around upside down. I don't even know. Should I take this upright or I'm gonna take it upright? Because if it's upright, if it's reversed, it really don't matter. Yeah, there's some type of like scheme going wrong. here with the seven of swords, either in the upright or in reverse. It don't even matter if it's in reverse, because ultimately it becomes a reversal when you're talking about the seven of swords. It always backfires, but it could be some type of lies or deceptions that have been exposed or uncovered, something like that. Let's see what else we got. Or a liar that's, oh, they all flying. Yeah, see, here's the backfire. Exactly. It's sliding all over the place. Yeah, like some type of swift, and this is actually a Sagittarius card too, the Eight of Wands, like some type of swift exposure, or I want to say swift justice, even though there's no evidence for a justice card here, other than the fact that the Seven of Swords was almost reversed. You know, it was in a struggle. It could be justified, you know, some type of justice or karmic backfire in here that's happening fast. Like it's happened, it's made somebody's head spin. Is what I'm sensing. Like the way the card spun on the table, is made some, like a backfire has made somebody's head spin by the intensity of the impacts. That's what I'm getting here. Let's see what else we got here. The Page of Cups. And this is like almost like a cool down, a subduing. But I mean, it's like trying to put water on a grease fire is what I'm getting. Why you frying fish? The hottest grease. With that fish in the cup, with the Page of Cups. The hottest grease there is, next to like chicken grease, I suppose. And it's not, I don't get the fact that this is a good, like a sufficient defense. Oh, it could even be somebody now trying to make apologies or make amends on account of their deception or some type of manipulation or misguiding, something somebody was doing over here that wasn't upright. They could be trying to like backtrack and apologize before the shit hits the fan, but with the Eight of Wands, you can't outrun the Eight of Wands. That energy is coming fast and furious, and it has names attached to those wands. It's like an ass whooping coming with your name on it type of energy. Like, no, I know, no, I don't want to hear no excuses. It was you caught in 4K. There's no negotiations. There's no excuses here. It was you. We saw you. That's the type of energy I'm sensing. That somebody is like, but wait, but hold on, like I wasn't in my right mind, or I was sad, or I was emotional, I wasn't myself, or I didn't know any better, I didn't understand, like trying to play this like innocent Page of Cups act, like they were the victim. That's what I'm getting. Like somehow they were the victim, or they were misled, or they were misguided, or they were also victimized or hurt by whatever is in question by way this Eight of Wands returning. Like there is somebody that would be trying to plead their case in the energy of the Seven of Swords, but with the projection of the Page of Cups, which is innocence. Or again, somebody that didn't know any better, or that's remorseful or regretful for their actions or something like that. More so on the innocence, heavy on the innocence aspect, because the Page of Cups is almost present itself to be almost harmless or childlike, or dependent in some way. But if this is the energy that you started in, even if it was a child, it's given that you knew better. you knew better, so you should have done better, but they didn't. And now that the Eight of Wands is coming back with a vengeance, all that someone has really energy or time to do, barely, is to cop a plea. With this, yeah, to try to evoke some nostalgia or some, you know, emotional connection or sentimentality. Like, you know me, you know I would never do that, you know I've always loved you, you know I have nothing but the best intentions for you, I have your best interest at heart, I never meant to hurt you, like whatever. They're trying to pour on some heartstrings here, but I don't know. It's, to me, with the Eight of Wands, and it being the only card here so far that represents Sagittarius energy at all, it gives to me, like, in true Sag form, once you're done, you're done. You know, like with this could even represent the number of chances that a Sag is known to give. You know, like what we're really good at doing is giving grace and giving people space to kind of like be, you know. And sometimes it can be said, depending on the frequency of the Sag, that we may have an opinion or we may insert ourselves with some commentary, especially if you ask us about that being, you know. So we might make an observation and offer some information, if you will, on where you are, but we ain't never going to impose our judgment on another person in a way that that we feel they should follow it. A true Sag will often give you advice or give you their opinion or their perspective and let you have at it, you know, and will be very graceful about how you have at it with really no attachments to it. Now, the moment when it becomes an infringement on a Sagittarius's peace or progress or prosperity, how you live your life or how you're being, that's when a disconnection will ensue. And sometimes in the blink of an eye, where you'll have a Sagittarius in your life one minute and out the next, and you won't even, like I said, your head will spin, you won't even know what hit you. Like, here today, going tomorrow. And it's just how we are, you know. Like, we're always moving, always shaking, and we put too much pressure on ourselves to be better, to really be overly invested in how someone else's progress or lack thereof is affecting us. You know, there's a high threshold, I feel, of grace for others and how others want to live their lives. But again, when it comes to how it affects us, there is a quick, well, I'll say not necessarily a quick, but there can be a sudden reactionary response. You know, like, okay, well, this how you doing, cool, you do you. That doesn't really work for me, or that's affecting me in a certain type of way that I really can't justify in this time. So I'm gonna be over here. No, I'm probably not gonna let you know that I'm gonna be over here, but I'm gonna be over here. And that doesn't mean I got any love loss or any or there's any condemnation towards you. Like, really and truly, that's the anomaly of Sagittarius, and it's so misunderstood and baffling because it feels cold, like almost like a fire, like an air sign, you know, in some ways, where we can just become very detached, almost seemingly instantaneously. But almost never is it instantaneous. It's usually over some time of consideration and observation, to the point where it's like, okay, well, this is what it is, and this is just how I'm gonna move on account of this being what it is, you know. And like I said, the anomaly is that you would think it's with some type of grudge or animosity or hate, or resentment, but it's really not. Like, which is why an apology at this point, for especially for any particular wrongdoing or nefarious acts, it's like it just gets burnt up, you know, before it even gets expressed, because it's like, oh, don't even mention it. Like, you good? They've already moved on. A Sagittarius is already on to the next adventure, the next lesson, the next experience, whatever it is. They've already moved on. There's no dwelling in the past, not generally speaking. So while somebody else might be consumed with what used to be, how things ended up where they are, what even perhaps maybe even looking to take some type of accountability for their part in it, a Sagittarius is not even thinking about that. Not even, you, like I said, you probably are a topic of discussion or the center of a conflict that you don't even know has anything to do with you. And you could probably care less whether it does or doesn't. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. But anyway, so let's keep going. Jeez. The Tower. Oh my gosh. People are like falling all over themselves, perhaps over some type of guilt or regret, or again on account of these backfires that, like I said, that can't be outrun. You know what I mean? Because that's one thing about it. Once Saggy pulls their energy back and there's no more investment of their interest or their attention, sometimes, if it's justified, sometimes things go awry, because that Jupiter energy is powerful, man. It's potent. And some Sages are walking around like living good luck charms, and some know it and some don't. Some don't even know how lucky they are and privileged they are in their own life. But then to know that you bring that energy to spaces and places and people and projects and you know, pretty much anything that you associate yourself with. That fire energy is, it is what's the right word? Like, it's I want to say explosive. It's not really explosive, but what's the word? Like when it catches on, you know, like when it catches on, it's igniting, flammatory. There it is. Is that the right word? Inflammatory or flammatory? Whichever one. It's flammatory. Extremely flammatory. That might even be the title. Yeah, so it's like, catch the fire how you can. Like, it can be a good flame, depending on who you are, or it can be a scorcher. You know, it can be disintegrating, as a matter of fact. You know, but it just depends on the circumstances. But in this case, it's given that some past connections, as I said, have kind of just been left to their own devices, like to their own agendas, you know, like, again, no love lost. This Eight of Wands is almost inanimate energy. It's like not really the passion is directed selectively and specifically. And that means that if you're in the way of it in a good sense, then you're probably more privileged for it, because that's the Sagittarius pouring out their love onto you, their attention, their investment into you doing well, and to understanding your come from and supporting your visions, you know, most times even adding value to your potential as it already is, where they see fit to do so, or where they see that they can, you know, sometimes just by presence alone, by proximity alone. And so when you position yourself to be an enemy of a frequency such as that, it's like the line of fire. And again, most times they're going to just back up and let you have it and move on, because that's more of the assault than it even is a defense. For honestly, for a Sagittarius to just back up off your life and out of your life, especially if it's instant, you know, if it's suddenly, there's a certain knowing of what, you know, even when you don't really know, there's a certain knowing, maybe a certain like confidence of that fire that you know is valuable in some way, shape, or form, you know. So it's like, well, if it's not going to be well valued here or appreciated or accepted, then I'm going to take it elsewhere. And sometimes that can really cause the greatest detriment to whomever is left in that wake than you doing anything, you know, proactively or aggressively toward their worst good, you know, or against their best good. Just the absence alone can cause tower moments at times, especially for people that think that they have an emotional like stronghold on the Sagittarius or attachment by default. That could be family, friends that you've known a long time, friends you know a short time. Because one thing about it, a good Sag will make you feel like a long time friend. If they just met you on the street, you'll feel like they knew you your whole life. And you'll almost feel like you knew them until you realize that you don't, when they disappear on that ass. It's crazy, and there's no harm, no foul intended. It's just how the energy moves. It's always looking to elevate, to expand, to evolve, to grow. And if it gets caught up and confined in a space where that isn't possible, it will never be cornered. It will never be cornered. It will always find an escape, especially a high integrity Sagittarius will always find an escape almost in the nick of time, so it seems, or by the skin of their teeth oftentimes. But they'll always find an escape route, and they'll dust themselves off like they had 9,000 lives again, and it'll be just as valuable of an experience to them as a good story. like woof, almost got lost on that one, but let me tell you about the time. It's just how it is. I don't know why we're like this. It just is what it is. Meanwhile, this is what's going on in the background, like when those movies when you're like walking away slowly and it's a huge explosion in the back. Yeah, the Sagittarius had been there. Yeah. Oh my God. And they don't even realize it. They just walking off all cool, calm, and collected. They don't even realize it's a whole explosion in the back of them. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Let's see, what else? Here comes the cavalry, the Knight of Swords. Somebody got something to say, some objection. They want to intervene, intercept. But notice how it seems like it's always too little too late is what is given here. The tower's already on fire, and this is a Knight of Swords. He's not a Knight of Cups. So he don't even have a chance of putting this fire out. It's like somebody coming to say something that they think will be I don't even know. Coming off of this beginning with the Seven of Swords, this could be another excuse, or like I said, a good story that somebody is rushing in with an excuse or an alibi or something that they're offering that, as I said, it's too late, or some objection or something they're offering. It's too late and the damage has already been done. So no matter what this person is rushing in to say, it doesn't have any positive effect on what's already happened. They may be coming in to again, defend their reputation or defend their intentions or make excuses for why things happen the way they did, or to give some type of a refute to the information that's circulating around them or about them, or information that's coming through, because this even could be a message, Page of Cups, some information that's coming through, that seems damaging perhaps to their character, but it's already done. It's already done. And as I said, it's wasted energy to be backtracking to a Sag to say this is what really happened, because we're going to let you have it regardless. It don't really matter, but we're going to also read what's evident, and say, that's cool and all. However, this is what it looks like. So how do we account for what you say versus what it seems? And then that's when that intuitive eye is going to kick in a Sagittarius, to see above the fray, to hear above the noise, and to make their own higher judgment or observation of what they sense is the truth, because they're going to get to the truth. That's the truth seeker. Beyond even what, is right in front of them. That's when that like sixth sense kicks in to say, I don't know. It's like a mix between like passion and logic and discernment, mixed with a little what would I do in this situation. And I feel like Sagittarius are really good at also almost like putting themselves in another person's shoes, in an empathetic way for sure, but in a projective way, even when it's not necessarily an emotional attachment, but there's something that can be said about how we can kind of see ourselves in other people, or see other people, see our, the commonalities in other people, even if we can be completely different from completely different walks of life. And I think that's the aspect of a Sag that sometimes can help them make judgment calls and character calls about what is most likely probably true, that seems almost like it's very elevated in a human way, it's very elevated, because sometimes there might not even be any real evidence or proof of what you could feel about a situation, but somehow that you can find your way to the truth, or at least be settled enough, on the closure of a situation to let it be, again, what it is, in order for you to move on. Completely detached, with, no strings whatsoever, no, what's the word that I want to use? Like that detachment is real big, but yeah, which can often be like a brick wall for those that feel like they need to plead their case, or they want to be able to shift the perspective or change and a reflection on them in one light to something else. It's like, you can say whatever you need to say. You can plead your case. You can show me the receipts. You can give me every, every version of the narrative that you can think of, but whatever it is that is settled on is the truth for a Sagittarius. And it'll be no love lost for whatever contradicts that, or, you know, like it won't even matter. It won't even matter. And that could be a strong characteristic and can also be a flaw. You know what I mean? Because it's already been established and decided what the truth is, and call it what you want. It's like, I don't have any room for any interpretations. I'm already moving on. I'm already on to the next. Why are we even talking about this? All right, I'm going to get one more. I'm going to keep this real sweet, short and sweet. What's this? Hangman. Yeah, it's like, nobody going to be stuck contemplating the truth or waiting for enlightenment. You know, it's like somebody would want to gatekeep this moment of revelation and aha and enlightenment for someone so that they can have time to like impose or intersect the truth that they want to reflect, the narrative that they want to present or promote. The alibi, as my phone's going off at 7:33, the alibi or excuse that would ultimately pardon their actions or something like that. And it's like, even if this is a Sagittarius in contemplation, it's certainly not attached to this. Like I said, they're already off on some new pursuit of knowledge and inspiration before there's a reflection to something that's already proven itself to be unproductive. And certainly if there's any bout of confusion in it, that's like, okay, we're done here. They're not going to be trying to, we're not too keen on all the extra details per se, depending on what your placements are. So we're not going to really waste too much energy and fire sifting through details that are convoluted and twisted and interwoven into this and that intentionally. It's just going to be like, all right, well, that's over there now. Cool. I'm gonna let that be, and I'm over here looking for clarity and understanding and understanding and peace. Like that's where my energy is best invested. So if there's anything that's going to be interrupting this frequency here, I'ma just leave it alone, pretty much. Like literally, this isn't Sagittarius energy, of course, but that's literally the vibes, you know, like already mind is already wandering, you know, as the relentless wanderers that we can be, into some other realm of reality to discover some new frequency or level or aspect of our own identity. We can't be bothered with nothing dragging us into the past for something that apparently can't be resolved, you know. So it's like we're going to resolve it for ourselves and close the case and move on peacefully. And we'll certainly move on peacefully, hoping that everything in our wake is also peaceful, or that can find its own peace, because we already found it. Just as soon as we've turned away and turned our attention to something else, we've already been consumed by that, you know, a sense of contentment in that new space and time. That is so true. It's so true. And I get how it really feels so dismissive and so callous to people that don't understand that energy. It's very protective, you know. I will definitely say that it's protective because as I said, like when you think about the characteristics of a Sagittarius, there's a greater desire, an insatiable desire to have room to expand and to grow and to evolve. And if there's something you're coveting or enabling in your life for too long, that impairs that instinct, that need. It's just innate that the response is usually to cut it off or to disconnect yourself or to find some segue out of that entanglement. And although, if again, it seems dismissive and it feels so, emotionlessly detached, it's because if there is not a catering to that deep desire to grow and evolve, you'll have a very nasty Sagittarius on your hands. What you don't want is that fire shooting back at you. It's too intense for most people to manage, most zodiac signs to manage all at once. Like, it's because it's ferocious and it's directive. It's unlike the other two fire signs, which shout out to them, of course, where Aries is wild. So you never know how they come and how they shoot, and they're unpredictable in their own way, but at you, you know what I mean? Especially if you step in their way. But there's a certain erratic nature to an Aries that makes them sometimes even vulnerable to them harming themselves in that attack, like mess around and sneak themselves sneaking you, something like that, because they just so damn wild, or they swing with so much force that they end up, almost knocking their damn self out as well as you. And then you got Leo, which is an intense fire as well. But how would I describe Leo? I feel like with Leo, there's also a sensitivity there. I feel that is like, how can I say, like, there, it's like a vulnerability there. Like, consider how the sun is always shining in some place in the earth, but it rises, it sets, in every place. You don't always see it. So there's like moments when Leo isn't necessarily wanting to be in fight mode, or necessarily in the energy and the strongest energy to want to be aggressive per se. They may want to always be seen somewhere, somehow, or thought of, but they don't always have the energy to be fighting battles. Even think about how a lion, especially a male lion, they have their lazy aspect of them too, but then they also have, when they do get up and go, you should probably run for your life if you can, But it's something about Sagittarius where, and also, here's the other thing with Leo, it's a massive projection of heat, like the sun, where if it's shining in the area, then everybody's getting it. It don't matter who it is. So there's that aspect too. But Sagittarius is strategic. It's intentional. It's the marksman of the zodiac. Like, if you do provoke the smoke, know for sure that they're going to shoot and they're not going to miss. That's why most of the time we keep the gun in the holster, because we don't really want nobody getting hurt. We don't want to hurt nobody. We want you to live the way you want to live and let us live the way we want to live. But when you get in the way of a Sagittarius moving in their natural habitat, thriving, exploring, discovering, you got a big problem on your hands, because they're going to see you. They're going to know exactly how to harm you, how to aim. And then when they aim, they're going to shoot and they're not going to miss. They're always going to make their mark. And it might take a Sagittarius a little while, a little patience, a little longer than some, even as the fellow fire signs, to finally take that shot. But when they do, you as good as dead in one way, shape, or another. So that's why it's like, I feel like it's a natural impulse for Sagittarius to kind of wiggle themselves out of situations that impose on their nature, because it would just cause a lot of unnecessary damage, and probably has in a lot of ways. Just leave us alone, all right? Just leave us alone. Yes, Four of Swords. When we aim, we not going to miss. And you're gonna be forced to sit that ass down, lay that ass down, and fully recover one way or another, whether it's what we say to you, because it's always going to be the truth. Sometimes we saying stuff that's the truth and we don't even mean to be harmful. We're just sharing or just speaking, So there's that. Whether we say something to you, whether we do something to you, God forbid it's actually aggressive or violent. Or again, whether we detach and completely remove ourselves from whatever the dynamic may be, it's all the same. It all stings. It all burns just the same. So it's like, you have a good Sagittarius in your life, cherish their presence while they're there. Get what you can, not in a manipulative way or in a way to use or abuse, because we can sense that eventually at some point as well. Even if we don't speak on it at first, the imbalances will eventually expose themselves, and then that'll be yet another cause to detach. But 9 times out of 10, the Sagittarius is content with at least having the intention to give a bit more while they're in your presence or in that connection than what they're necessarily looking to receive in return, So that's what I'm saying. It's like the biggest gift giver, because we'll be friends with people that we know are not necessarily, like, you won't even be looking for people to be the type of friend to you that you just naturally and happily want to be to them. And don't get me wrong, there is loyalty in a Sagittarius where they feel safe and secure, and where they feel like they can truly, there's room for them to truly be themselves, and they're in a space where they can grow and evolve in a way that doesn't feel like an imposition on whomever shares that space, or like an insult to whomever shares that space. Like, we can thrive in relationships like that forever. You'll never lose a friend or a partner in that regard. Even if it's a relationship that didn't work out, you'll always have a friend in that person. That'll be the person that you could call, at a strange time, or at an unexpected time, when nobody else is available. That would be the one that you could call on and say, hey, I know it's been a while, but X, Y, and Z. And it would be, no prejudice, no love lost about it, with a relationship that has proved to be secure and balanced by a Sagittarius's standards, But all the other stuff, it's like, they're going to give as much as they can possibly give. And then when they finally are done giving, or have had their fill of any type of imbalance or confinement, they'll be gone. They'll be gone. But there will always be something positive left behind, I feel. At least that's my intention, as I've said before, with any space that I've been in, or any relationship, any connection, commitment, whatever the case may be. It's like, you may not have me in presence anymore, but it was always my intention for your best interest. And so therefore, that is the intention that I leave behind, in spirit always. And I feel like that's a great representation here with the Queen of Cups, who's just naturally loving and nurturing and, again, empathetic, feels deeply, even though sometimes it doesn't seem like, like sometimes people think Sagittarius are all fire, no emotion, but that's just not true. Like, we are quite sensitive, and we do feel very deeply in ways that sometimes it's just hard to understand. Like, we feel very, very deeply, so much so that we make room to feel how you feel, to we make provision for you to feel how you feel, and understanding for it, and also in how we can support you in feeling how you feel. Like, it's interesting, man. I do think, and I'm not just juicing it up because I am a Sagittarius, but honestly, there's no other sign I would rather be. If I was any other sign, I probably would wish I was a Sag. And I just have such an affinity for the characteristics, the light and the shadows, because there's that too. But I have such an affinity for the purest of that frequency, because it really is a bit of a bridge in many ways between humanity and spirituality. That's like, it's like the bridge between those two worlds, where you can find yourself very grounded in your humanity, but still be constantly expressing and expelling the highest frequency of spirit that you can embody, like with no limitation, really. Like, as the mantra for Sag is I see, is like, if you can perceive a possibility, a reality for yourself, it's just as good as true, you know? And that's the frequency that makes it so abundant, because it breaks off a lot of the limitations of, societal conditioning, even universal conditioning that we all are born into. When you have that archer that's like, yeah, this is cool, but I need to see what's above all this, what's higher than this, where can I go from here, what's beyond this way of thinking, what's beyond what I see. It's the scout that's going to be looking, above the fray, beyond the veil, behind the veil, and that also is extremely invested in sharing that perspective, dare I say wisdom, with anyone that wishes to receive it. Certainly that loves to be an example by how they live their own lives, So anyway, there is a deep love there in the heart of a Sagittarius, but it can be selective. And sometimes it can be conditional when it's understood or it's realized that love, there's a protection of that love, because there's an innate knowing of its value beyond even the self, So it's like, if I'm going to encounter a relationship that's going to keep containing that love, eventually I'm going to have to free myself from this place, from this space, from this person, because it's too precious of a force to be kept in a box or kept in a jar or buried, before it's time for it to be so. And most times, even when it is, that frequency has a life of its own beyond the vessel. It'll be here well after the body is gone, if you're in the right frequency, as love itself is and passion itself can thrive on. But for whatever it is, whatever it's worth in this message, somebody is feeling completely dead to that love and that frequency, disconnected from it, to the, if not actually, flatlined, they're definitely feeling, like they've lost quite a bit in this disconnection. And it may have been something that happened abruptly, but if it wasn't, It's just the effect of it all that has now taken place in the wake of, a Sagittarius's presence that seem to be, again, explosive, uncontrollable, and just inflammatory in a way that can't really be controlled. And it may be causing some or someone to either rethink their position in life, their choices in life, or to just recover altogether from a great loss. From a great loss. And the recovery comes by way of what's missing that used to be present. The absence of it is strongly felt. When you don't have that frequency in your life anymore. And then on account of the potential that you may never get it back again. That, like with the Tower card, like it's a connection that's completely destroyed, a bridge that's totally burned. That's cause for great devastation for some. Unbeknownst to the wandering Sag, who's probably already off in some new land or some new territory, exploring, their options. So, it is what it is. Love them or leave them. Sometimes both. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. This was kind of fun. Like I said, I've never really tapped into the energy before. I'm sure you have Sag in your chart maybe somewhere, your sun, your rising, your moon, your Venus, as they say, like maybe somewhere in there, or whatever's in your 9th house might be a consideration as to how this could resonate. But either way, like I said, even if it's just food for thought, or a Sagittarius, maybe you understand a little bit more, how the energy moves and what season it is for us. It's all gas, no brakes for most Saggies that are in a high frequency. There's so much to be created in what feels like so little time. So many people to meet, so many things to do, so many places to explore. And if you want to be in a Sagittarius life, you ultimately get to, not have to, but get to go with that flow and add value to it. Be something interesting or someone interesting to explore yourself. Or you just step aside and just appreciate the time that you had while it lasted. Just please, by all means, do not get in their way. All right, so thank you for listening and watching. Happy Sag season. Happy birthday, Sagittarius. Enjoy yourself, as I'm sure you already do. Until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.